So I'm going to go ahead and start to show you the exercise problems for the end of the chapter, just to kind of substitute the lab time and to help with any problems that you may run into. What I do encourage you to do is to do these problems on your own before watching the video, or maybe watch the video and then go back and try to do what you've learned through the problem. I really don't anticipate this to be a step-by-step guided exercise. I really would like for you to start working on learning how to use the revolve command, learning how to do the patterns, and really this is just to give you an aid in case you get stuck as you're drawing these problems and you need some assistance. So I'm going to start with the shaft support drawing, and what I'm going to be doing differently is drawing each one of these problems under a separate video. So this one is specifically going to be shaft support, and then I will follow with other videos for the rest of the problems. So I'm going to just minimize this here now, and so we can start taking a look at this problem. So if you watched the video from before, I showed you a couple of ways of creating your profiles and using the axis. So the book went over using the X or the Y axis for the actual rotation axis, and that's definitely something that I encourage you to use that if you're comfortable with it. For this problem, I'm just because I can, I'm gonna show you a different way. This is one of the practice or one of the alternative ways to help you in case the axis thing doesn't make any sense to you, or you're getting hung up on using, what to use for the rotation axis. So for this exercise, I'm going to use just a line drawn from the origin to represent my axis. So that is actually on the y-axis. So I could pick the y-axis, or I could draw a line. Sometimes people are a little bit more visual and they want to physically think that there's a line there that this part is getting ready to revolve around. So I'm going to go ahead and start with laying out the profile. Here I'm just going to sketch this out. I'm going to come back and put the dimensions in just a minute. So just looking at this part right here, I'm just going to lay something out here to look at the overall profile, and then I'm going to use the dimension command. And when I do the dimensions for this one, instead of using the radial dimension like we did on the sample problem, I'm just going to use a dimension that's actually the radius. So starting from the very beginning, here I'm going to dimension this inside hole. So this is the hole that's inside. That is a 2-inch diameter, so 2 divided by 2 is 1, so I can go ahead and set that as a 1-inch diameter. Then I'm going to locate this next dimension here, which is 2.75. So I would just type in 2.75 divided by 2, and that sets that diameter. Alright, and then I'm going to use the outside dimension here, and that is 7, so 7 divided by 2 is going to set that diameter. Now, what you are going to run into when you get to your 2D drawing, you're not going to be able to pull in your model dimensions because everything's going to be set up as a radius. So I just want to make sure that you're aware of that and you're not confused when you get into that workspace and you're trying to use the dimensions that have already been set. We're going to fully have to dimension this piece from scratch. So we've got that 0.5, and I'm going to go ahead and make that 0. All right, so this is the profile. So this is the 2.75, the 1-inch. The 1-inch radius. So all of these are the radius for the problem that was given to us. This is the hole that's in here. This is the rotation axis, and then this is the outer edge of this part. So when I'm going to go ahead and finish this sketch, and I'm going to revolve it. So that is the profile. Oh, nope. Let me back that up. So I clicked on the line there, and that's why it revolved on there. So when we click the what's in red here, it's prompting us to select the axis. So I'm going to pick this as my axis, and then we will get that 360 degrees. So I'm going to flip to this right here, and this is now what's set on my top view, and that's okay. I can still use this this part. So now I'm going to locate the first hole. I'm going to use the pattern, the circular pattern for the cutout. So I'm just going to start by locating the hole here, which is a 1-inch diameter. So I'm just going to go ahead and type in 1, and I'm going to locate that from the origin. So looking at the drawing here, they gave us a 5-inch diameter. So that should be located 2.5 inches from the origin, and that's going to be located in the proper place. Go ahead and finish that sketch and go ahead and cut out that hole, making sure I'm using the through wall, and then hit OK. And now I have that hole that is cut out. I'm just going to rotate this around. So doing this and not drawing the three, I really don't want you to draw the 3 holes on there. Everybody I know can do that at this point, but this is an exercise where you're using the circular pattern. So the whole purpose of this is to use the circular pattern and select the feature. So the feature for this is that hole that's cut out, and then the rotation axis is going to be the center of that part right there. So change that to 3, and that's going to evenly space each one of those holes at 120 degrees from each other. So I'm gonna let you finish this up by putting this on a title block. I imagine that let's see, 8.5 by 11 by 17. So a B size should work fine with this one as well. So place this on a B size title block, and go ahead and fill that out as you have been in the past, and I think that will wrap this one up. So as I was getting ready to set this part up in the title block, I realized that some of you may run into a situation where you have the part not on the same work plane as the front, and when you may be accustomed to bringing that in with the front view. So I just want to go ahead and come back to this and show you how we can reorient this part right here. So I'm going to set this as, so this is looking at my top view right here. I'm going to right click on the view cube, and I'm going to click on this set current view as. I want to set the current view as my front view, so that reorients the view cube over here in the right. So the reason I'm doing that is because now when I go back over to my title block, when I bring this in, I want to bring in my base view, and the base view is typically in that front view. So now you can see that the front view is the top, well, what was originally the top view. So make sure you know how to change that. If you did not do that, you can always click on the little arrow and change the orientation to whatever you may want, and then when you do that, hit the OK button, and that's going to give you your front view. So from here, I'm just going to go ahead and do a projected right side view, and then also my isometric view. So just setting those items up, right click and shade the part here. Okay, and then now one of the things I like to do is to go ahead and start off with my center lines. So I'm going to first start off with the centered pattern. I'm going to point to the center of the part here, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick all 3 of the circles and finish off with the last one more time, and that completes the circle 360 degrees. Right click and hit create, and now I have my front view. I've got the center lines here. I'm just going to go ahead and click on that little green dot there and extend that out. That one runs through there, so I'm going to click on that one and then just pull the bottom one, so then that way I don't have a straight line going through the center. So that gives me my center line, following up with a center line over here on the right side view. You can see that the right side view is so small, it's really kind of hard to get that center mark in there. So we're going to leave that, and I'm going to go ahead and follow up putting the same dimensions on this part that were given in the book. So just a reminder to you why some of the dimensions are placed over here on this view. We like to provide the linear dimensions whenever possible for a diameter. The 2-inch diameter circle dimension is not given because that would require you to dimension to hidden lines, and that's not allowable when we're dimensioning. So you should have the linear dimensions. To get the diameter symbol, just simply double click on the dimension, hide the dimension value, and then select on your diameter, and then unhide, and you will be placing the diameter symbol in front of your dimension. So hide it, click the symbol, unhide the value, and then bring that back. That just saves you a little bit of typing. Now, I did put the circle diameter for the 5-inch. That gives us a radius there for locating that circle. The other dimension we need to give that's not available to put over here on the right side view is this 2-inch diameter. So I'm going to place the 2-inch dimension there, and then I'm going to do the angle by selecting the two center lines and then placing that dimension as well. So just kind of wait for that to click there to the little phantom line there, and that's going to locate that. Need to follow up with one note. I'm going to move my right side view over just a little bit so I can put the note on here. I do like to use the ANSI standard method for placing multiple hole dimensions. Simply double click on the dimension again, hide it, count up the number of holes that you have, and use 3x with a space, and then unhide the dimension value, and that allows your dimension to change. So 3 times a 1-inch, so that way we know all 3 of those diameters. So the next thing I would need to do is to fill out the title block. This part name is, or the title name is Shaft Support. The drawing number would be the inventor book, so IB page 1137-1. So remember, when you are placing this problem in your canvas, make sure you're going to File and you're going to Export as a PDF, and then make sure you're saving that with the same drawing number. When you upload it, your name will be attached to it, so there's no need to put your name on the PDF file. So that's it for this problem, and let me know if you have any questions.